Rain fell hard over the scrapyard, turning the metal piles into rivers of mud and rust. Sparks flashed as Evan Cole, a young human mechanic, welded the broken frame of an old shuttle. His hands were black with grease, his jacket torn at the sleeves. The world around him was quiet, too quiet for a planet that never slept. The distant neon lights of the alien city shimmered through the fog, humming like ghosts. Evan wiped sweat from his forehead and sighed. He had been working alone for hours, trying to fix junk no one cared about. The scrapyard was full of lost things and old ships, burnt droids, forgotten weapons. Sometimes he felt like one of them. Then he heard it, a soft sound. Not metal, not wind, and a weak, trembling cry. He looked up, confused. The sound came again from behind a pile of rusted cargo containers. Slowly he grabbed a small torchlight and stepped closer. His boots splashed through puddles as the cry turned into a low moan. He turned the corner and froze. There, lying on the cold ground, was an alien girl. She was young, and maybe his age, maybe younger. Her skin glowed faint blue under the rain. Her silver-white hair stuck to her face. She wore a torn dark suit, and around her neck, a metallic collar blinked with red light. Each pulse seemed to send pain through her body. She trembled, whispering something in a language he didn't understand. "Hey, are you okay?" Evan said, kneeling beside her. The girl flinched, eyes wide and glowing faintly violet. Her pupils were not round, but shaped like diamonds. She tried to crawl back, but the collar sparked violently, making her scream in pain. "Stop. Don't move," Evan said quickly. "That thing's gonna fry your nerves." He looked closer. The collar wasn't just a metal band, it was alien tech, ancient and complex. It had deep carvings that pulsed like veins. Some wires were broken, others melted. He could see small sparks dancing near the lock. "Please," she whispered in broken English. "Make it." "Stop." Evan's chest tightened. He knew nothing about alien law, but he knew pain when he saw it. He took out his small toolkit and knelt beside her. "I can try," he said softly. "But if I mess this up, it could hurt more." The girl nodded weakly. "I trust you." Human. Her voice was soft, trembling but brave. Evan took a deep breath and started working. He opened the collar's side panel with a screwdriver, sparks jumping out. Inside, glowing circuits shifted like living tissue. It wasn't just metal, and it was part machine, part biology. He had never seen anything like it. Rain fell harder. His hands shook as he rerouted wires, closed damaged circuits, and adjusted energy nodes. The collar's red light began to fade, turning to orange, then to yellow. The girl gasped for breath, her pain easing, almost there. Evan murmured, "Hold on." He crossed the final wire, and suddenly, a bright blue light exploded from the collar. A mechanical voice spoke, cold and emotionless. "System reboot successful. Ownership transfer complete. New master registered human, Evan Cole." Evan's torchlight fell from his hand. What did it just say?" The girl opened her eyes wide. For a moment she looked terrified. Then, to his shock, she pushed herself up and knelt before him. "My master," she whispered, her head bowed. "You repaired the bond. I belong to you now." Evan stepped back. No. That's not what I wanted. I just wanted to stop the pain." But the collar glowed brighter, confirming the link. The blue light reflected off the rain-soaked ground like fireflies. It was done. Some kind of alien law written deep in the collar's code had accepted him as the registered owner. The girl looked up at him, tears mixing with rain. "You cannot undo it easily. The collar binds life to life. You are my keeper now." Evan's heart raced. "This is crazy. I'm not your—" He stopped when she flinched again, the collar pulsing red as if warning her to obey. He sighed and took off his jacket, wrapping it around her shoulders. "All right, just stay calm. We'll fix this. I'll find a way to remove it." She blinked at him, surprised by his tone, gentle, not commanding. "You would free me? Even when you own me?" Evan frowned. "No one owns anyone. Not where I'm from." For a long moment she just stared at him, like she was seeing something she'd never seen before. In the distance, thunder rolled across the sky. The scrapyard lights flickered as patrol drones passed overhead, scanning the area with red beams. The girl stiffened. "They're searching," she whispered. "They will find me, please. Don't let them take me." "Who's searching?" Evan asked quickly. "The slavers, the ones who put this collar on me. If they find me with you, they'll kill you too." Evan glanced at the approaching drone lights. He didn't even think twice. Then we better hide. He helped her to her feet. She leaned on him, weak but alive. Together they ran between the wrecked ships, their shadows cutting through steam and rain. The blue glow of her collar lit their path like a ghostly lantern. Behind them, the drone lights grew brighter. The hunt had already begun. Rain still poured over the scrapyard as Evan and the alien girl hid beneath a half-collapsed cargo pod. The metal roof above them rattled with thunder. He could hear the drones humming in the distance, scanning the area with red beams that swept across the muddy ground. The girl sat close, breathing hard, clutching the glowing blue collar that still pulsed softly around her neck. Evan whispered, "They're gone for now." "You can breathe," she didn't answer. Her eyes were wide, frightened and full of shame. She stared down at the collar as if it were a curse. The blue light glowed faintly across her skin, painting her face in soft silver. "What's your name?" Evan asked. For a long time she didn't reply. Then in a trembling voice she said, "Lyra." "All right, Lyra, I'm Evan. We need to get you somewhere safe before those drones come back." She shook her head. "Nowhere is safe. The collar sent a signal when you fixed it. They know it reactivated. And they know who it bonded to." Evan frowned. "You mean they know it's me?" Lyra nodded, eyes glistening. "The system registered you as my master. By law of the Empire, you are now a recognized owner. If they find us, they won't arrest me. They'll honor you." He stared at her, confused. "Honor me? For owning someone? That's insane," her voice broke. "You don't understand. On my world, the bond is sacred. It was meant to protect royal heirs long ago. But the slavers twisted it. They use it now to control. No one has ever broken it or denied it." Evan rubbed his face, trying to think. "Well, I'm not accepting that. You're not property. We'll find a way to break this thing." Lyra looked up at him with disbelief. "You would risk angering the Empire for me?" He gave a half smile. "I already fixed your collar. Guess I'm halfway in trouble anyway." For the first time she smiled, small and fragile. But the moment faded as the sound of engines echoed through the sky. Searchlights swept across the yard. Evan grabbed her hand. "Come on, we need to move." They slipped out from under the pod and ran toward the scrapyard fence. Mud splashed under their boots as thunder roared. Evan's pulse hammered. Every few seconds a red beam passed overhead, searching. He led her through a gap between two old shuttles and down a narrow path lined with scrap metal walls. Behind them, a metallic voice boomed from a loudspeaker. "Attention. Unauthorized life signatures detected. Present your identification or face immediate detainment." Lyra froze. "They've locked the exits." Evan scanned around and spotted an old maintenance hatch half buried under debris. "There." He kicked the cover open and gestured for her to crawl inside. The tunnel beneath led toward the drainage system under the city. It stank of oil and metal, but it was a path. He followed her in and pulled the hatch shut just as a beam of light swept past overhead. Inside, the tunnel was dark except for the faint glow of Lyra's collar. The blue light reflected on the wet walls. Her hand brushed his as they crawled through narrow pipes. Every few minutes the collar flickered, showing small holographic symbols. Evan tried to read them, but they shifted too fast, alien letters that seemed alive. "What are those symbols?" he whispered. "They are your commands," Lyra said softly. "The collar links your voice, your touch, your heartbeat. It thinks I belong to you now." Evan shivered. "That's messed up." She hesitated before whispering, "If you said the command word, I would have to obey. No matter what." He looked at her in the dim light. "Then it's a good thing I won't." Something in his voice made her stop crawling. She turned to look at him, eyes shining. "You're different from others." Evan gave a small shrug. "Maybe I'm just stubborn." When they finally reached the end of the tunnel, they emerged into the lower levels of the city. Dark streets filled with steam vents, flickering neon signs, and broken droids. The undercity was alive with whispers, machinery, and danger. Aliens of all kinds moved through the shadows, avoiding patrols above. Lyra pulled up her hood, hiding her face. "We must stay hidden. If anyone recognizes this collar, they will turn me in." Evan nodded. "Then we find somewhere to hide, and food. You look like you haven't eaten in days." She glanced at him curiously. "Humans, you always think of food even in danger." He grinned. "Keeps me alive." For a moment she laughed quietly, then the collar beeped. Both froze. A small holographic message appeared above the collar, written in alien script. Lyra gasped. What does it say? Evan asked. It says, tracking active. Master identified. Royal security inbound. Her voice cracked. They're coming for you now. Evan clenched his fists. Then we better move faster. They ran deeper into the Undercity past dripping pipes and flashing signs. But behind them, distant engines began to grow louder, the Empire's security units descending into the lower levels. Lyra's voice trembled. Once they find you, they will force you to command me. They won't allow refusal. Evan glanced back at her, determination in his eyes. Then we'll just have to rewrite the rules. As they vanished into the shadows, the collar's blue light flickered like a heartbeat, 2 lives bound together by a mistake neither of them wanted. The tunnels opened into a forgotten part of the Undercity, old markets swallowed by darkness, neon signs flickering weakly above empty stalls. The air smelled of smoke and damp wires. Evan led Lyra through the narrow corridors, his small wrist light guiding the way. She followed quietly, her steps light but her eyes full of worry. They stopped inside an abandoned workshop. The walls were covered in old tools, half-working droids, and dusty screens. Evan closed the metal door behind them and pulled off his soaked jacket. Lyra sat on a crate, still trembling slightly from exhaustion. You should rest, he said softly. She nodded but didn't lie down. Her hands kept brushing the glowing collar, her expression torn between fear and sadness. Evan crouched beside her. You said this thing used to protect royals. But how does a collar protect anyone? It looks more like a prison. Lyra hesitated. Long ago, before the wars, my people created the bonded shield. It was worn by royal heirs to link them to their guardians. It let the protector feel the heir's pain, fear, or danger instantly, like sharing one heart. But over centuries, the slavers twisted its purpose. They used it to control, not protect. Evan's eyes widened. So this thing is reading both of us? Yes, she whispered. It connects us. When I feel pain, you feel a shadow of it. When you are afraid, I sense it too. Evan stared at the collar, trying to understand. That explains why I felt dizzy back at the yard when you screamed. Lyra nodded. The link is active now. It's alive. He sat back, running a hand through his hair. That's insane. Silence filled the room except for the distant hum of the city above. Evan began searching through the old computer systems in the workshop, trying to connect one to the collar's frequency. The monitors flickered, lines of alien code scrolling fast across the screen. Lyra tilted her head. You understand alien tech? Not really, he said with a small grin. But machines all talk in numbers. I just need to listen long enough to catch the rhythm. After a few minutes, he froze. The screen displayed strange pulse patterns mixed with biodata. Heart rate, neural waves, DNA fragments. 2 separate readings intertwined. What the? He muttered. Lyra stood beside him. Her eyes widened when she saw the data. It's merging. Our life signatures. Evan turned to her. Merging? You mean it's trying to fuse us? In a way, she said. It doesn't know the difference between master and guardian anymore. You repaired it without a royal key. It's rewriting its purpose, maybe trying to go back to what it was originally made for. Evan frowned. So it's evolving. Lyra looked down. Or it's warning us. The more it bonds, the harder it will be to separate. If one of us dies, the other might follow. Her words hit him like a shock. He stared at her in disbelief. You're saying if I get killed, you... Yes, she lowered her gaze. And if I die, you will too. That's how deep the link can go. For a moment, neither spoke. The city's faint rumble echoed like thunder through the metal walls. Evan finally broke the silence. Then we better make sure neither of us dies. Lyra's lips curved into a weak smile. Humans always try to laugh at danger. He smiled back. It's either that or panic. Laughing's cheaper. But before the moment could soften, the computer beeped sharply. A warning symbol appeared beneath a red triangle with alien runes. Lyra's face drained of color. They found the collar's signal, she whispered. The Empire's enforcers are tracing it. Evan unplugged the machine immediately, but it was too late. Static buzzed through the air, and a faint blue hologram flickered to life. It showed an armored alien officer with cold, bright eyes. Royal asset detected, the voice said. Return the bonded heir to the custody of the Imperial Guard. Master authorization confirmed, human species. Subject Evan Cole is now property of the Crown until further notice. Evan's stomach twisted. Property? They're not serious. Lyra grabbed his arm. They are. They think you're my new royal guardian. But humans aren't allowed that role. To them it's forbidden. The hologram vanished. The collar's light pulsed rapidly, reacting to the signal. Lyra gritted her teeth, clutching her neck. They're trying to force remote control. It's rewriting commands. Evan lunged forward, holding her shoulders. Stay with me. I'll stop it. He connected his portable tool to the collar's side port and started overriding the surge. Sparks shot out, lighting the small room. The collar beeped. Red, then purple, then blue again. Suddenly the connection stabilized. Lyra gasped, falling against him, breathing hard. It's over, Evan whispered. Her hand clutched his shirt. Why would you risk your life for me? You could have walked away. He looked at her for a long moment before answering quietly. Because I couldn't. The words hung between them like electricity, honest and heavy. Then, a distant explosion shook the ground. Both turned toward the sound. Through the small window, they saw faint orange light rising over the skyline. Patrol ships entering the lower levels. Lyra's voice was small. They're coming for us. Evan tightened the strap of his tool belt, determination burning in his eyes. Then we run. But this time I'm done hiding. If they want their collar, they'll have to take it off me. The blue glow around his neck shimmered faintly, sinking with the collar's light. 2 lives, 1 heartbeat, and a growing secret neither fully understood. The lower city shook with thunder and fire. Patrol ships roared above the rooftops, sending waves of heat and dust through the narrow metal streets. Sirens wailed from every direction. The Empire's enforcers were here. Evan and Lyra ran through the maze of pipes and bridges, their boots echoing off the steel floors. Smoke drifted through the vents, mixing with neon mist that painted the walls blue and red. Behind them, bright beams of light scanned every corner, searching for movement. Keep your head down, Evan shouted as a drone swooped low. He pulled Lyra into a dark alley just as a burst of plasma scorched the ground where they'd been standing. Lyra caught her breath, her glowing collar flickering wildly. They're tracking the link. The collar's signal, they can follow it, Evan cursed under his breath. Then we break their signal. He pulled a small device from his belt, a cracked power inverter. He dropped to one knee, connected 2 wires from Lyra's collar to the machine, and twisted the switch. Sparks jumped. The alley filled with blue light. Lyra winced but didn't pull away. Will it work? Evan grinned, sweat dripping from his temple. If it doesn't blow us up first. The machine whined, then suddenly popped. The collar's glow dimmed. The beeping in the distance grew fainter. Evan let out a shaky breath. There. Signal jammed. For now. Lyra touched her throat. You risked a lot. Again, he gave a tired smile. Guess I have a bad habit. Before she could reply, the walls shook, an explosion nearby. They ducked instinctively as a wave of heat rolled past them. Drones were now sweeping the lower levels, scanning every life form. Evan pointed to a flickering sign ahead that read, Transit Core, Restricted Access. That way. Old maintenance tunnels under the rail grid. Nobody goes down there anymore. They sprinted through the narrow corridor. Pipes hissed steam as they passed. The tunnel opened into a vast underground passage filled with giant gears and broken cables. The air was thick with oil smoke and silence. Lyra stopped, breathing heavily. We can't keep running like this. You're bleeding. Evan looked down. A piece of shrapnel had sliced his arm. He hadn't even felt it. I'm fine, he said. But Lyra stepped closer, placing her glowing hand over the wound. The blue veins in her skin pulsed brighter. Warmth spread through his arm as the cut slowly sealed. Evan stared in awe. You healed me? She nodded weakly. It's a gift from my lineage. My energy can mend, but it drains me. Her knees wobbled. Evan caught her before she fell. Easy, you don't have to. I want to, she whispered. Because every time I use it, the collar copies the signal. It remembers the one I'm linked to. Evan frowned. You mean, it's learning me? Yes, it's adapting to your energy. You're changing it. He looked at the collar again, now glowing a softer blue, almost like it was breathing with them. Then maybe it's time we use that to our advantage. Before Lyra could ask how, a metallic clank echoed from above, soldiers dropping into the tunnel through a hatch. Their armor shimmered with the Empire's sigil and their eyes glowed cold. Target located, one shouted. Evan grabbed Lyra's hand and ran toward the next section. Laser bolts ripped through the air, lighting the darkness. They ducked behind an overturned cargo drone. Lyra's voice trembled. "There's too many— Not if we blind them," Evan said. He pulled a canister from his bag and a flash core used for ship repairs. "Close your eyes," he threw it. The tunnel exploded with white light followed by smoke. The soldiers shouted in confusion. Evan and Lyra sprinted through the fog, coughing but alive. At the far end of the tunnel, they found an old transport elevator covered in dust. Evan hit the control panel, dead. He slammed his hand against it. "No power!" Lyra placed her palm on the wall, blue energy sparking from her fingers. The lights flickered and the elevator groaned to life. She fell against him, weak but smiling faintly. "Go," she whispered. Before they recover, the elevator doors closed just as plasma bolts hit the walls outside. The lift began rising slowly, creaking and shaking. Evan leaned against the railing, breathing hard. Lyra looked up at him. "You could leave me, but you don't," he met her eyes. "Because I'm not built to abandon people. Human thing, I guess," she smiled, a sad, beautiful smile. "Then humanity is rarer than I thought." The elevator reached the top level, a wide, dim platform overlooking the neon undercity. But their escape wasn't over. A patrol ship hovered nearby, its spotlight sweeping across the metal roofs. Evan scanned the area. "We jump onto the transport rail. It'll take us toward the outer districts." Lyra stared at the narrow rail glowing faintly across the abyss. "That's suicide." "Only if we miss," he said, and leaped. She gasped, but followed. The two landed hard on the moving rail cart, sparks flying beneath their feet. The wind roared as the cart sped through the city lights. Behind them, the patrol ship turned sharply and gave chase, engines howling. Lyra held on to Evan, her voice lost in the wind. "They won't stop." He glanced back, eyes fierce. "Then neither will we." The rail track curved upward toward the surface. Above them, the stars broke through the clouds. Faint, distant, but free. And for a moment, as they raced through the storm with fire behind them and the collar glowing between them like a heartbeat, it didn't feel like escape anymore. It felt like destiny beginning. The transport rail tore across the undercity like a silver lightning bolt, cutting through smoke and neon haze. Evan and Lyra clung to the metal cart as it sped between towers. Sparks flew beneath their boots. The wind howled past, cold and sharp. For a few brief moments, they could almost pretend they were free. But freedom never lasted long under the Empire's shadow. A sudden boom echoed through the sky. A patrol ship appeared behind them, its black hull marked with the symbol of the Imperial Guard. Blue searchlights locked on. "They found us again," Lyra shouted over the roar. Evan glanced back. They must have picked up the collar's trace. "I thought we jammed it." Lyra's hand flew to her neck. The collar was pulsing again, slow, steady, like a heartbeat gone wrong. "It's not broadcasting anymore," she said softly. "It's responding." "Responding to what?" Her violet eyes met his. "To you." Before Evan could reply, plasma fire lit up the air. Bolts exploded against the rail, sending molten sparks in every direction. He grabbed Lyra's hand. "Hold on." The rail cart jolted hard as one of its engines blew out. The entire structure tilted, screeching against the track. The patrol ship moved closer, lowering a mechanical claw. A voice boomed from its speakers. "Human Evan Cole, by order of the Empire, surrender the royal heir and yourself. You are now classified as an unauthorized master of royal bloodline property." Evan shouted back, "She's not property. You hear me?" The ship fired again. A blast hit the rear of the cart, throwing them both forward. Evan landed hard, rolling across the metal floor. Lyra screamed his name and reached for him, but the cart split in two. She barely caught his hand before he slipped toward the edge. Her grip trembled. "I won't let go." "Neither will I," he said, pulling himself up with a groan. But as he did, the collar's glow brightened, its light climbing up the chain like liquid fire. The patrol ship backed off suddenly, its scanners detecting the surge. Evan could hear its automated voice. "Warning. High Master Protocol detected. Human genome unauthorized. Awaiting confirmation." Lyra's eyes widened in shock. "High Master? That's impossible. That command is for Imperial royalty only." The collar's voice echoed around them, calm but cold. "System rewrite complete. New access level, High Master Evan Cole." Evan blinked. "What the hell does that mean?" Lyra stepped back, trembling. It means the system accepted you as higher than the royal line. You now outrank every commander in the Empire. Before he could answer, the patrol ship opened fire again, but this time something strange happened. The blasts curved midair and dissipated into harmless sparks. A faint blue aura shimmered around Evan and Lyra. Evan stared at his hands. The same blue light was flowing under his skin, matching the collar's pulse. Lyra, it's protecting us. The bonded shield, she whispered, awestruck. It's becoming what it was meant to be. The patrol ship retreated, scanners confused, then turned and flew upward, calling for backup. Evan and Lyra jumped from the broken railcart onto a lower walkway, just as the track exploded behind them. They hit the ground hard but alive. The city alarm screamed through the underlevels. Containment breach. Royal anomaly detected. Lyra pushed herself up, breathing hard. They'll send everything now. Enforcers, hunters, even the royal fleet. Evan shook his head. Let them come. I'm done running. Lyra stared at him, frightened. You don't understand. The High Master Code gives you command over the Empire's armies. They'll kill you before they let that happen. He frowned. Then maybe it's time someone told them their system is broken. She looked at him like he was mad, but also with a spark of admiration. Humans. Always defiant. They found refuge in an old communication outpost hidden behind the lower power grids. Evan connected the collar to a cracked console, pulling up its holographic core. The projection showed a massive web of data, thousands of connections stretching into deep space. This is their control network, he said. And now somehow I have access. Lyra stepped closer. If you use it, they'll track you instantly. Evan's jaw tightened. If I don't, they'll destroy this city to find us. He pressed his hand against the console. The hologram flared, reacting to his touch. For a second, he saw images. Fleets of ships, royal chambers, alien soldiers bowing to an unseen figure. The system spoke again, this time in a voice almost human. High Master Command active. Do you wish to override the Imperial Core? Lyra grabbed his arm. If you do that, every ship in orbit will see you as their new commander. They'll come here, not to arrest you, but to serve you. Evan hesitated. His reflection glowed in the hologram's light. Tired eyes, scarred hands, a man who only wanted to fix a broken machine. I never wanted power, he whispered. I just wanted to help you. Lyra's voice softened. Then help me by surviving. Destroy it before it consumes you. Evan looked at her, torn. And if that means losing you? She smiled sadly. Then at least you'll be free. He exhaled slowly, then slammed his palm on the console. Sparks burst out as he forced an emergency shutdown. The hologram screamed with static. The outpost's lights flickered, then went black. Silence. Lyra stumbled forward, clutching her chest. You broke the command link. Evan caught her before she fell. Good. No more masters. But outside in the distance, dozens of ships began to descend through the clouds. Their engines glowed red, the sky trembling under their arrival. Lyra whispered, You might have destroyed their system, but now they're coming to destroy you. Evan looked up at the storm of light filling the sky. Then let them come. The collar flickered weakly around Lyra's neck, pulsing in sync with his heartbeat, no longer a chain but a symbol, and far above the city. The Empire prepared to strike. The city was burning above them. Towers glowed like broken stars, sirens howling through the smoke. Evan and Lyra stood on the edge of an old sky bridge overlooking the chaos, the night alive with fire and thunder. The Empire's ships swarmed in the clouds like dark insects, searchlights sweeping every corner. The wind tore through Evan's hair, carrying the taste of metal and smoke. His eyes stayed fixed on the horizon, where dozens of glowing ships were descending, forming a blockade around the city. Lyra clutched her collar, trembling. They're here, she whispered. The royal fleet, Evan's jaw tightened. Then we're out of time. He led her into a nearby observation tower. Inside, the place was silent except for the hum of dying power lines. Through shattered glass, they could see the alien fleet lowering into the atmosphere, elegant, silver, and terrifying. Lyra watched them, tears glinting in the flickering light. They'll destroy everything to get to us. You don't know what they'll do to a High Master they can't control. Evan sat on the floor beside a broken console, staring at the collar's faint blue glow. Maybe I don't care anymore, he said quietly. I'm tired of running. Lyra knelt beside him. You can't fight them all. I don't have to. He looked at her. I just need to choose what kind of man I'll be when they come. She frowned, not understanding. Evan opened the collar's holographic display. The core pulsed with light, showing 2 commands written in alien runes. The translation shimmered across the air. Option 1. Dominate. Activate command network. Option 2. Sever. Destroy the bond collapse system. Lyra gasped. That's the choice. You can take control of their whole command system or end it forever. Evan stared at the glowing options. If I dominate, I could order them to stand down. Maybe even stop this war. She shook her head. You don't understand what that power does. It doesn't obey you. It changes you. It makes you something else. Her voice cracked with emotion. My father once told me power is the cruelest chain of all. It makes slaves of those who think they are free. He looked at her gently. And if I sever it, what happens to you? Lyra's eyes fell. The bond will shatter. I'll be free, but the shock might kill me. Evan's throat tightened. So either I become their king or we'll lose you. A heavy silence filled the room, broken only by the hum of the fleet above. Lyra moved closer, her voice trembling but calm. You were never meant to carry this. You are human, and humans, they fight with heart, not power. That's what makes your kind special. He smiled faintly. You talk like you've known humans forever. I've known one, she said softly, meeting his eyes. And that's enough. For a moment, the world seemed to pause. Outside, thunder rolled. The collar's glow reflected between them, 2 lights pulsing in the same rhythm. Evan exhaled slowly. If I choose to destroy it, you have to promise me something. What? Live, even if I don't. Tears fell down her cheeks. You can't ask me that. I already did, he said quietly. The bond might break, but what it meant, that's ours. Not theirs. He reached toward the collar's hologram, hand trembling. The 2 commands glowed brighter, as if aware of his hesitation. The room shook as another explosion rocked the city. Lyra grabbed his hand. Evan, wait. I made my choice, he said softly. He pressed sever. A brilliant light filled the room. Not violent, but pure. The collar flared white-blue, its circuits glowing like veins of lightning. Lyra screamed as the energy surged through her. Evan pulled her close, holding her tight. I've got you, he shouted. The tower windows shattered, sending glass into the wind. The light spread outward, racing across the skyline, up into the clouds, where it hit the fleet like a wave. Ships froze mid-air. Their lights flickered. One by one, their engines powered down, drifting silently above the city. Then silence. The collar shattered into dust between them. Lyra collapsed in Evan's arms, unconscious but breathing. The blue light faded from her skin. Evan's body shook with exhaustion. His vision blurred. The energy drain felt like fire in his veins. But as he looked around now at the quiet city, the still ships, where he smiled weakly. She's free, he whispered. That's all that matters. He leaned against the wall, holding her gently. Through the cracked glass, he could see the stars peeking through the smoke. Faint, distant, but real. Lyra stirred, her voice faint. Evan, he smiled. You're safe now. She looked at him, tears mixing with relief. You broke the bond. Yeah, he said softly. Guess even the Empire couldn't stop a human with a wrench. She laughed weakly. And a heart too big for his own good. Outside, the night wind carried the sound of the fleet retreating. Silent, defeated, leaderless. Evan closed his eyes. The collar was gone, but something new pulsed in its place, not power but peace. 2 lives. 2 hearts. One choice that changed a galaxy. The morning after the storm was quiet. The sky, once filled with burning ships, now stretched clear and endless. The sun rose over the alien city, washing its metallic towers in gold light. Smoke drifted like ghosts between the buildings, soft and harmless now. The warships that had circled above hung still in the air, powerless, silent, like monuments of surrender. Inside a small medical bay near the city's edge, Evan Cole stirred awake. His body ached like it had been torn apart and rebuilt again. His vision flickered. White walls, faint beeping, the smell of disinfectant. A gentle blue curtain fluttered near the open window. Then he heard a voice. You're awake, said Lyra. He turned his head slowly. She sat beside his bed, her silver hair tied back, her skin no longer glowing with pain. The collar was gone, leaving only a faint scar around her neck, a reminder of what once was. Evan smiled faintly. You made it. So did you, she said softly. He tried to sit up, but she pressed her hand gently on his chest. Don't move. The energy surge almost killed you. When the collar shattered, your heart stopped for 30 seconds. He chuckled weakly. Guess I'm bad at dying. She smiled, a real smile this time, bright and alive. No, you're just too human to give up. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the hum of life outside. Distant cheers echoed through the city, aliens celebrating, not mourning. The warships above were being towed away, their weapons disarmed. The Empire's command network had collapsed completely when the bond severed. Lyra glanced out the window. They're calling it the Day of Breaking Chains. All over the colonies, slaves are being freed. The system can't control anyone anymore. Evan looked at her with disbelief. Because of us? Because of you, she said. You didn't take their power, you destroyed it. You showed everyone that control isn't strength. He leaned back, eyes distant. I didn't mean to start a revolution, she touched his hand. The greatest revolutions never start with plans. They start with kindness. Just then, the door opened. 2 alien guards entered, tall armored, but without weapons. They bowed low before Evan, their voices calm. Hi, Master Cole, one said. The Council of the Free Worlds requests your presence. Evan blinked. Hi, Master? I thought that title was gone. It is, the guard said with a faint smile, but they still call you that and out of respect. Lyra nodded encouragingly. Go, they're waiting for you. Evan hesitated, then slowly stood. His legs trembled, but she caught his arm and steadied him. Together they walked out into the light. The city square was unrecognizable. Where once stood a monument to the Empire, now gathered thousands of aliens, workers, soldiers, children, all species once bound by fear. Banners of blue and white fluttered in the morning breeze. When Evan stepped into the open, a wave of silence spread through the crowd. Then cheers. Loud, echoing, unstoppable. Lyra stood beside him, her hand still resting near his. They think you're a hero, she whispered. He shook his head. I'm no hero. I just fixed something broken. A holographic platform rose from the center of the square. Lyra's people, the former royal council, then appeared, their robes marked not with power but with unity. The eldest among them stepped forward, bowing deeply. Human Evan Cole, the elder said, voice echoing. You were a stranger among us. You had every right to claim our throne, yet you chose to set us free. For that, no crown can honor you enough. Evan scratched the back of his neck awkwardly. You don't need to thank me, just don't repeat the same mistakes. The elder smiled. Perhaps that is the most human thing we've ever heard. The crowd laughed softly and the tension broke. Music began to play in a slow, gentle, like wind through glass. Children released blue paper lanterns that drifted into the sky, glowing like stars. Lyra watched them rise. You know, she said quietly, there's a legend among my people. It says one day a heart from another world would remind us what it means to be alive. He looked at her. You really believe that? I do now. They stood together, watching the sky fill with light. The air felt different, not heavy with rule or fear, but light with possibility. After a while, Evan turned to her. What happens now? Lyra smiled softly. Now we rebuild, together. She reached into her pocket and handed him something small, a fragment of the collar, smooth and silver, no longer glowing. A reminder, she said, of how chains can become bonds, and bonds can become hope. Evan held it carefully, closing his fingers around it. Guess I'll keep it somewhere safe. Where? She asked. He smiled. Close to my heart. Lyra's eyes shimmered in the light. For a long moment, neither spoke. The wind carried the sound of music, laughter, and life. Things once forbidden in this place. Above them, the alien fleet began to ascend, their engines soft and blue, moving not in command, but in respect. One by one, they tilted their wings toward the city in salute, a silent bow to the human who refused to be a master. Evan watched them disappear into the sky. You think they'll remember? Lyra looked at him. They'll remember the day a human fixed more than a machine. He smiled. Then maybe that's enough. As the last ship vanished beyond the clouds, the wind carried a single whisper across the city, a new name spreading among the freed worlds, the human who broke the collar. And in that moment, the galaxy learned what humanity truly meant, Not conquest, not power, but compassion strong enough to rewrite the stars.